the eye of the storm. They're getting data from multiple sources, from measurement companies as Nielsen, Comscore, and the like, but also from their clients, site satisfaction data, purchase data, you name it. We're also getting data from the campaigns that are run, both online and offline. And the marketer wants answers, the marketer wants results, and the agency many times sits in the middle and tries to come up with those answers. And the data coming from all these disparate sources are the key to answering those questions and making the right decisions for the marketer.
So if you're an agency, how are you currently handling and dealing with the data?
Well, it's funny, it depends really on the situation. It depends on at the point of where you are in the thought process. If it's a strategy session and you're coming up with plans, you're working with a creative team, you've got a lot of benchmark data that is coming, a lot of it's coming from vendors, but it's also coming from your past. You might have normatives of campaigns that have just run, you might have profiling and other types of proprietary studies that you may have done. That goes into all the informed decision making that you do in the beginning of the process of the digital marketing ecosystem, if you will. But as you start making decisions, then the RFP process starts, and then it's strange. You go into this weird transformation where you're not just using benchmark data. Now you're getting into data that you're mixing and matching with a lot of the media partners that you pick. So then you start going into impressions and clicks and conversions and all the data that in many cases is dynamic. It's live. You're touching it. You're feeling it. You're making changes on the fly based on performance. Campaigns that are doing well, you want to make sure you double down and know why they're doing well. If things aren't doing so well in other areas, you want to be able to rejigger, and lots of data coming from there. And then as the campaigns are reaching their fruition, reaching their endpoint, you're putting things together and looking at performance overall. And so you have three different types. You have that benchmarking that goes in the beginning, the dynamic type of data that is part of all sorts of campaigns that are running, both offline and online, and then you get into the end, the performance, and it all comes back again into that benchmark, into those strategy plans and those sessions that you do with the marketer to see where you went, where you were, how well you did, and where you're going to go in the future. When you're dealing with so many disparate parts of the ecosystem, be it you've got marketers in a room with, say, measurement companies and publishers and agencies somehow caught in the middle because they're supposed to, in some ways, be buying and are representing marketers, it can be very difficult sometimes to all be speaking the same language. And measurement, in many cases, is that proxy for speaking the same language. And that's the challenge today, specifically in the digital world. As new technology and content and consumer behavior all intermingle and change and evolve, we've got so many different voices from different locations in the industry, all looking for their own goals to be met. And a marketer obviously wants to sell more product. An agency has specific goals, obviously, on behalf of the marketer. A publisher is about content and sales, and the measurement company is trying to obviously sell what they're selling. It's very difficult, and I do feel sometimes agencies have a little more flexibility because they're sitting there trying to come up with solutions that integrate data from disparate sources. It isn't perfect, and it never is, but every marketer, every agency client, in some cases, has a different set of goals. They might be more brand driven, some of them may be more response driven. So you really have to go with what is initially the priorities of the client and then make decisions from there. And that might be a mix and match. You may be using some syndicated sources from Nielsen, Comscore, Dynamic Logic. You go down the list. You might bring in a survey company, which again, there's many of them. I work with a number of those. And then you're also dealing with data from performance, and all those things have to come together, and that's not an easy task, but that's in many cases now the new agencies, the ones that are getting it right, that have digital integration, data integration platforms. Those are the ones that are beginning to speak a common language and work with all those different parts of the ecosystem, be it the marketer, be it the media company, or even some of the measurement companies, because they want to sell data and agencies want to buy it.